Okay, let's talk about the Ukraine-Russia war. Okay, I'm just gonna prepare this now, and then so that we can do this video. Now, first of all, we're gonna go through the background of the situation, like why is there a war? Then we're gonna go through three problems with the whole war situation. And the first problem is history and America's involvement in other countries' war that are on different continents, across oceans, across continents, just unrelated to America, but America has to go in there and make it worse. The second problem is NATO and America's leadership of NATO, and how NATO just bends its own rules to attack whatever country that is not Russia. And the third problem is the leaders of Ukraine, Volodymyr Zelensky, and his role in this situation. Those are the three problems. And then, I guess there can be some analysis and discussion at the end. Okay. So, the Ukraine and Russia war. Ukraine and Russia was part of the same country. If you see here, this is the Soviet Union, and that's the country that Russia and Ukraine was a part of. Ukraine would be here, approximately. Like, if you look at the center of the screen now, the video, then Ukraine would be around here. And but it was all part of the Soviet Union. So that's the background to the geography. And now NATO. So after the World War II, NATO was created basically with America as the leader of it to be prepared to attack Russia if Russia attacked basically any countries in Europe. Yeah. So NATO was created to be prepared to attack Russia and Soviet Union, or defend itself against Russia and so on. Yeah. So that's it. But honestly, after the war, Russia was basically the winner of the European continent war. So Russia should basically be able to control this. Why? Because Russia didn't kill black people, mass murder black people for hundreds and hundreds and almost 1,000 years, hundreds of years or almost 1,000 years. Like some countries, if you look in the middle here, did murder black people for fun and racism for hundreds and hundreds, almost 1,000 years. And other countries that killed less black people, but still traded them as slaves and so on. But basically, Russia should basically be able to control this part of Europe, because Russia didn't kill any black people, and these people basically lost the war. Well, anyway, so yeah. Basically, the whole propaganda narrative was that Russia was evil, even though Russia never killed, black people for hundreds and hundreds and almost 1,000 years. So it's just weird that the propaganda machine became Russia is evil, but Russia didn't kill any black people. And this war was basically started, don't kill black people. Just don't kill black people. Okay, so, history of NATO. The history of NATO basically contained the Soviet Union and something, and yeah. Okay. Okay, so that's about the background then. Wait. Oh, wait. I need a map of. Ukraine. No. That's Moscow. Wait. Russian map. Okay, so after the Soviet Union separated into different countries, Ukraine, and Russia has a border between them then. Okay, so if you can see under this bubble of, I don't know what that is, but thing, you can see Ukraine here in the middle of the screen. So Ukraine and leaders of Ukraine want Ukraine to be a part of NATO. And the problem with, missiles and bombs of NATO in Ukraine is that Moscow, the capital of Russia, is literally here. So it would be crazy for Russia to allow NATO. That the problems with NATO we're gonna get into next. But it's crazy to for Russia to allow missiles and bombs that are pointed at Russia and probably Moscow to be in Ukraine, because it's literally kilometers away from Ukraine. So that's a problem. And also, like, as a background to like why this is a war and why Russia is so angry with Ukraine that they would like invite NATO bombs and missiles to be pointed at Moscow, literally from kilometers away from Moscow. And also St. Petersburg, which is like the second biggest city in Russia. It's like Ukraine, St. Petersburg, Ukraine, Moscow. So, okay, anyway, that's the background. Like, it's a crazy situation. Okay, the second, okay, so the first problem with, that we're going to talk about now is NATO and America's leadership of NATO. Okay, NATO was, the problem with NATO is that NATO bends and breaks the rules for why NATO is a thing. NATO is supposed to attack Russia if Russia attacks any country in NATO. And that's basically the rule of NATO. But NATO attacked Libya, NATO attacked Afghanistan, NATO with America leading it, NATO attacked Serbia, and there was some involvement of NATO in the Korean War too. So Libya is not Russia, and Russia didn't attack first, and Libya didn't attack America or any NATO country first either. And the same thing with Afghanistan. Afghanistan is not Russia, and the whole attacking Afghanistan when Saudi Arabia financed the attack on America, I mean, it's just crazy. But I mean, Afghanistan is not Russia. Serbia is not Russia, but NATO attacked Serbia. So NATO doesn't follow its own rule. NATO is to protect against Russia or Soviet Union, but I mean, it doesn't follow that rule. It just attacks whatever country America wants it to attack. So yeah. Okay, the whole NATO and NATO attacking Libya. NATO and America attacked Libya in 2011 and killed a lot of civilians. I mean, the whole premise, I mean, I don't think it's a true premise. Basically, I mean, the propaganda from America was that NATO was going to protect civilians. But after attacking Libya and killing the leader of Libya, NATO and America supported the rebels that killed the leader. So I mean, would they have been able to kill the leader without NATO and America's support and meddling in there? Probably not. But who knows? NATO attacked Libya and to protect civilians. But the thing is, after the leaders of Libya were murdered with NATO involvement, millions. I mean, the country was basically destroyed. Like it wasn't functioning anymore. So many more thousands and millions of civilians suffered after that. So that was just that was just one example of America with NATO going in and destroying a country and making things worse. Even though the propaganda reason was to protect civilians, the civilian situation just became worse and more people just died. So, I mean, that's one example. So, this NATO Afghanistan thing, this happened after NATO with America leading it attacked Afghanistan the after criminals used planes to attack and explode the two towers in New York in 2001, September 11. And okay, so first of all, Afghanistan is not Russia, so NATO should not have been involved in this. But America with NATO just attacked Afghanistan, anyway. And then the criminals were funded by Saudi Arabia, but Saudi Arabia was not attacked by NATO or America. So NATO with America will just attack any country without it being Russia. And the Afghanistan situation is a second example of the problematic whateverness of NATO. And I mean, you can attack Afghanistan and kill Osama bin Laden and still attack Afghanistan after that. Like, I mean, it's just crazy. And then they're not gonna attack Saudi Arabia, even though there are a lot of evidence that Saudi Arabia funded the criminals that attacked America and exploded the towers. I mean, okay, that's just a second example. NATO, with America leading it, attacked Serbia. Oh God, when did this happen? Here. NATO attacked Serbia, that was a part of Yugoslavia, in 1999. And the premise was to protect some minorities that were, attacked by Serbia. But these minorities were not a part of a NATO country, and Serbia is not Russia. So the whole premise of NATO with America leading it, killing people or attacking a country that's not Russia is just wrong. And that's just another. Oh yeah, and NATO, with America leading it, also bombed the Chinese embassy and killed, dozens of civilians in the Chinese embassy. So you know what? There are just, so many problems with NATO and attacking whatever country and killing civilians that are not related to Russia, which is NATO's mission to protect against Russia and attack if Russia attacks. But I mean, NATO, whatever. Now, the third thing about the problem with this whole situation is that Volodymyr Zelensky. Wait, I thought that was the third thing. No, anyway, so he wants NATO and America, leading NATO, to attack Russia for Russia, attacking Ukraine. But Ukraine is not a member of NATO, so NATO and America cannot or should not do anything. But I mean, based on the bending of the rules and breaking the rules of the mission of NATO, I mean, like, NATO could and would do whatever based on the whims of America leading NATO. So I mean, like, should they attack? Would they attack? Who cares? There are no rules. But the problem with Volodymyr Zelensky is that he either has not learned history of America's involvement in other countries' wars across continents, across oceans, very fucking far away, unrelevant, unrelated to America. But America would just attack anyway, across continents and across oceans, to make things worse, under the premise of some minority, some women, some children, or whatever being persecuted. There's always a minority or women or children somewhere being persecuted. I mean, save them all or don't save any of them. Don't make it worse. But anyway, Volodymyr wants America to get involved, despite the problematic history of America involved in wars, territories that relate to China or Russia. Okay, so the first one is the first one is Korea. So America attacked Korea, or got involved in the war in Korea, and it made, first of all, the two things happened. Korea got split in half, and 3 million Koreans died. So that's one example. The same thing happened with Vietnam. The country was split in half and 3 million people died, mainly Vietnamese people. So what does Volodymyr Zelensky think is going to happen with Ukraine? America cannot win a war across a continent, across oceans. It cannot win it. History says that it cannot win it. So Ukraine will be split in half based on historical facts. The probability of Ukraine getting split in half is high, and 3 million Ukrainians risk dying. Not 3 million Americans, 3 million Ukrainians. So what does Volodymyr Zelensky want? Does he think that history is not going to happen again? Does he think that America is going to win? This is the problem. And just look at this. The death toll from modern American wars, killed in the name of freedom, protecting minorities, civilians, whatever, persecuted women, children in some random country. Korean War, 3 million dead. Vietnam War, 5 million dead. What else? Middle East, yes, here. Iraq War, 3 million dead. Afghanistan and Pakistan, 50,000 dead. Oh God. World Future Fund. Okay, the Global Research CAW is in Canada. Okay, the US has killed more than 20 million people in 37 victim nations since World War II. Let's see. Angola, Bolivia, Cambodia, Vietnam, Chad, Chile, Colombia, Cuba, Iran, Iraq is gonna come up here soon, Honduras, Iran, Iraq, 200,000 people dead with American involvement. Iraq, 100,000 people dead, according to the Washington Post, with America's involvement. Basically America's fault. And why? Because America is absolutely evil. American leaders know that they make the wars worse and more people die, civilians. But just, I mean, like, you know, twisting the truth, twisting the narrative, screaming USA, USA. And, you know, like, I mean, we're gonna protect the USA will protect the persecuted minorities, the women and the children. And then they kill civilians, women and children. It's just crazy. It's absolutely psycho, absolutely evil. So I don't know what Volodymyr Zelensky is trying to do. Like, it's absolutely crazy that Ukraine would be in NATO. It's absolutely crazy that Zelensky wants America's involvement when America doesn't really give a shit. If 3 million Ukrainians die and Ukraine gets split in half, America will be just like American leaders will just shrug, watch Kardashians' asses and, you know, tits, and then be like, okay, what's the next persecuted minority of a random country that America needs to, you know, attack next? 20 million people dead in the name of, you know, protecting civilians, but basically just to attack and make wars worse in other countries. Like, I mean, what's the point? What is the point? So, I mean, I just want to say that the Russia-Ukraine war is very sad and very crazy. Like, it should not happen. Like, it's just no point for civilians to die in this war where, like, Russia and Ukraine was the same country. The people of Ukraine and Russia are related to each other. Cousins, brothers, wives and husbands are Ukrainian and Russian. There's like so many such relationships because it was the same country. I don't know if like most people in Ukraine speak Russian, but like very, very large percentage of Ukrainians speak Russian. It's just crazy that there's a war, and like Zelensky just wants America and NATO to like get involved, knowing and ignoring the historical problematic civilian dead of NATO and American involvement in wars that are not related to America across distance of oceans and continents from America, just to make the war worse and kill more civilians. That, I mean, it's just crazy. It's just crazy. It's just crazy. Like, Zelensky and the leaders of Ukraine either ignore that fact or they know that fact, which is more psycho, and just, you know, like, ready to sacrifice up to 3 million Ukrainians and get Ukraine split in half, like Korea, like Vietnam. So, I mean, I don't know. Just make the war stop. Like, stop before 3 million Ukrainians are dead. Or before Ukraine gets split in half. I mean, it's crazy and it's sad and it's just crazy. America's involvement will cause more people to die. But probably Ukrainians.